Hey guys, welcome back. In today's video, let's talk about why is it important to be competitive as a man, and also what narratives I adopt for me to stay competitive as a man. So for the first part, why is it important to be competitive as a man? If you were to trace your lineage and your ancestry, you will notice that you have twice as many female ancestors as you have male ancestors. One good hypothesis is that females are choosy breeders and they tend to select men that are doing better than them, physically masculine or high status. Now in the past, being high status means you are a strong physical man that is able to protect the family, the clan or the tribe. In today's society, being a high value man or a high status man means you have monetary wealth. Now to build this monetary wealth is not easy. I spent my entire teenage and adulthood trying to think of this problem. You will have to adapt and change a totally different mindset depending on the stages you are in. So let's say if you come from nothing, you have no skill set whatsoever, it is not advisable for people like me or some other gurus to come and tell you to spend this amount of money so that you get this amount of returns back. For us, we understand that money is debt, and our job is to create stable and sustainable system so that we can leverage on debt through banks or investors to take the risk and scale our operations. But if you do not even have capital knowledge or even the knowledge of what money is, it is extremely hard for people to break out of the matrix. Now the problem with staying inside the matrix, aka the system, the education system, the corporate structure, if you see a person with Ferrari or Lambo, you wouldn't think that he is a doctor or a lawyer. Most likely you will think that he's an outlaw, he's someone to break out of the system, or he's a drug dealer, or so on and so forth. The system is designed to cater to majority of the people. It rarely serves your own individual self-interest. A well-designed system can cater to majority of the people, but this would mean that the system needs people to comply to the system. I'm not sure if you realize this, but majority of my countrymen, my fellow Singaporeans that went through the school system, just going with the flow, the lesser mistake you make, the higher your grade is. While in the real world, it is all about making mistakes. Entrepreneurship is about making mistakes, climbing up, making mistakes, and not repeating it. And failure is always a good lesson in entrepreneurship. Now I'll give you another example. Let's say 200% in the same cohort, learning the same course. What differentiates you guys from one another is the grades. It is an optimization game. You can only optimize through your internship, your grades, and that's what sets you apart from the rest of the 200, which is actually not a very good thing. Now the real world nowadays, there are so many ways of money making methods. We have options, we have people growing Instagram accounts and becoming influencers, so on and so forth. You have people removing the middleman agent and bring direct commerce, such as Shopify, Airbnb, TikTok, etc. There are so many ways of making money. Now school is a lagging indicator and they don't teach real world stuff. For example, we do not have a business professor that have built $1 billion company coming to teach you how to build and run a business. Now the school also acts like a monopoly in the sense that they don't have to deliver value that equates to the amount of money you spend. They do not have to be efficient in how they spend their money, hence they can charge the students higher. And I just find it funny how majority of the population, they can comply with such nonsense. Now if you really sit down and think about it, in modern society, there is no lack of food, shelter, water. You literally can't die from starvation, you can't die from thirst, you can't die from the harsh weather. Why is people so afraid to even take a slightest bit of risk? Now this is something I truly believe, and I believe this is the one element that will set you aside from 99% of people. And to me, the most important element is not intelligence, it's not EQ, but it's courage. Courage will set you aside from 99% of people because 99% of people are too afraid to try anything. If you look at people like Elon Musk or Jeff Bezos, etc., they all know one thing, that time is the ultimate currency. The paper money or the fiat currency as we know it is printed by a central entity known as the government. Money as we know it today is information. Money is a database for resource allocation. Whoever can provide value and do useful work for humanity will deserve more capital, and hence it's easy for successful entrepreneurs to raise capital. If you have $1 trillion in a remote island, that $1 trillion is worthless because there's nothing to allocate the capital to. So modern days money is information, energy, unit of account, store of value, medium of exchange, and so on and so forth. Now back to my point. Elon, Jeff Bezos, they all know that time is the ultimate currency and money can be printed, and the goal is to use the money to expand the mind so that they can think of better ways to create value for humanity, and hence that will translate to wealth. They view time as a true resource, and that is the only real thing we have. Everything else is system, beliefs, narratives. And once they understand that time is their only true and only resource, they are not afraid to take risks. Now as a man, and since majority of my viewers are men, I think that men have a financial clock, whereas women have a biological clock. So in your 20s, your goal is just to make as much wealth as possible, to increase your status as a man, increase your knowledge, increase your network, etc. That should be your only focus if you want to be competitive as a man. Now I'll just share with you what I went through and my current stage. Is that I realized that money has diminishing satisfaction. The more you earn and the more you receive. Let's say for example, if I manage to climb from 6-figure to 7-figure, and in the future 7-figure to 8-figure, there will be diminishing satisfaction. So the more I earn, the less satisfied I get. So one narrative that I adopt is I ask myself through first principles. why is it important to be competitive? And I came to this conclusion that, so let's say a long time ago, our common ancestry was the apes. Let's say the apes in the trees. The apes in the tree that stayed in the tree versus the ape that came down the tree. The ape that came down the tree has the desire to expand, has a desire for conquest, has a desire to be expansionary. And these first few apes that came down the tree learned to walk straight. They eventually learned to hunt and gather, learned to farm, learned to do agriculture, built the steam engine, created electricity, and built the modern society as it is today. So that is us, the expansionary apes. The apes that stay in the comfort zone in the trees, behind me in the trees, they are the ones that stay in their comfort zone, and in the end, the modern expansionary apes have the power and ability to destroy and eradicate them whenever we want. We have already deforested so many lands, so many trees, and God knows how many apes are killed. So I believe this is why it's important to be competitive. It is good for yourself and for the generations to come. And it is a simple narrative that is enough to keep me going and be expansionary. Now this competitiveness and aggressiveness is not something that everyone has. I feel that it's genetic. I'm not so sure. But I feel that in life, it's either you suffer the pain of grinding or you suffer the pain of regrets. So you choose your pain. And our female counterparts are choosy breeders. So do what you want with the information.
What is humanity's best kept secret? Humanity's best kept secret is that everything that we do is completely made up. The ability to understand complex stories is the most important part of being a human. Money is a story we use to understand the allocation of resources. Country borders only exist because we drew them. Laws exist because we wrote them. Bitcoin is a story. My passion, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, is a very sweaty story. The words you're reading right now only make sense because you and I agreed to communicate through the English language today. The English language only exists because a bunch of people decided to use it. When you realize that reality is entirely comprised of stories, it becomes a lot easier to exploit the rules of reality in your favor. Life is a game and there are rules, but the rules are much less strict than you might think. Life is a bunch of games, and you're a character. This way of looking at reality is very freeing, but it's also a bit anxiety-inducing at first. There's really not a whole lot keeping this whole thing together. Humans might just be highly advanced monkeys, but we're also monkeys that have come up with some pretty cool stuff. Being a person is cool, but it's not as serious as you think. Relax, I've been focusing on making a focused effort to be present, not stressing out over fictional stories.
Okay, if you guys like this video, do give it a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel if you haven't. I'm trying to reach 2K subs. Thank you, and I'll see you next week.